you can apply this principle to that journey and to that desire as well, and to not be in this position of feeling the lack, of feeling the desperation, because God is like, well, if he's looking at your situation and he's like, oh, well, I guess you got this under control. What do you need me for? You're the one who's going to make this happen. So where do I fall in this? You'll have a baby once you stop trying. I can't tell you how many times I heard that through the course of my journey of having my children. 6 years of trying, 3 miscarriages, and I, through it all, was trying to find any way that I could have some hope, that I could believe that this was going to happen for me. And I had some very encouraging words that were shared with me, and I had some not so encouraging words. You'll have a baby once you stop trying. I now can reflect on why that, while in the moment that was not an easy thing to hear. And I would always say, how do you stop wanting the very thing that you want more than anything else? How do you stop trying for the thing that you want more than anything else? I just could not separate myself from that. And I never was able to grasp that and really wrap my head around it and accept that. So anytime I would hear it, it would create this frustration and this resistance within me. And it was just not encouraging. And most people who've been on a similar journey would probably tell you the same. What I realize now, though, and this was never expressed in this way, I think that people don't always know what to say in those moments, and they try to find something that they can share some hope and encourage you in the best ways that they know how. It's just one of those situations where you don't always know what to say, and there really is nothing that you can say. And what I realize now, though, and it was never framed in this way, is that it was creating resistance, right? As I was going after it, it was, kind of being pushed away from me, right? And I recently heard this quote that is, what you chase runs from you. And so I was like, okay, that's actually interesting as it relates to my journey of having children. And understanding it from that perspective is that I was focused on not having children. I was focused on the lack. I was focused on the desire and not having that desire. I was focusing on the hurt. I was focusing on the losses. And so it was kind of resisting and working against me. And once I got into this place of flow, once I got into this place of surrender, once I got into this place of saying, okay, God, I trust you and I trust what you have for me. And I'm just going to be in this state of flow and really being there and really experiencing it and living it, because I had said it before, but I would teeter back and forth between, I trust you, God, but also let me do what I can do to make this happen. So then do I really trust you if I'm trying to take control, if I'm trying to obsess over it? If I'm trying to make it happen? Am I really trusting? Am I really releasing? Am I really surrendering? So I think once it got to a place where I decided and I really committed to operating in that way and approaching the situation and what I desired in that way is really when it materialized. And because I knew what God had promised me, I knew that this was going to happen for me. So all the more reason why you would wonder, why did I resist it so much? Why was I so desperate for it, for lack of a better word? If I knew deep down that this was what God promised me, then why was I approaching it in the way that I was, right? So all of these things, hindsight is 2020, right? I now have my 2 beautiful, amazing children who are the manifestation of the prayers that I prayed and the tears that I cried and the seeds that I sowed, right? They are the living, breathing examples of what is possible, right? And so in that moment of desiring that, I was really working against what I knew God had for me. And so it was in that revelation that I had very recently of what you chase runs from you is that I was chasing after this desire and focused more on not having it and wanting it and what I could do within my power to achieve it, as opposed to really fully surrendering and trusting it. It wasn't until I really did that I was able to get the answers to my prayers. And so whether you are believing for children, you're just believing for something in life, I think that you can apply this principle to that journey and to that desire as well, and to not be in this position of feeling the lack, of feeling the desperation, because again, that is just energy that does not that manifesting that desire does not respond well to, right? Because God is like, well, if he's looking at your situation and he's like, oh, well, I guess you got this under control. What do you need me for? You're the one who's going to make this happen. So where do I fall in this, right? And so that's why it really is a matter of really surrendering it and really trusting and believing. And if you know that that's what he promised you, and if you know that's what he said he was going to do, then there's no reason why you should feel like you have to be in this position to make it happen. And so that was a realization that I had, and just kind of putting all the pieces to that together again. All of those were things were starting to be revealed to me over time, but it was recently when it was framed in that way that I was really able to make the association with what people were saying and maybe what they intended and what they meant when they said, if you stop trying, it'll happen. I rejected it so much, and I was so disheartened and discouraged when people would say that to me. But when I could look at it and reframe it and look at the intention behind what was being said, it really took on a different form. And so now that I'm in a position where I'm not trying to have children, I have my babies, but there are other things that I am wanting to accomplish in my life. And so very much being able to apply a similar perspective and a similar approach with those things is really going to change the game for me. And I can always look to my children as a reminder of what is possible when I trust and go with the flow, because that's exactly what they are the example of for me. They are my prayers in human form. They are my deepest desires in human form. So what is it that I'm desiring for now? What is it that you are desiring for? What is something that maybe God has done for you up until this part of your life? What have you prayed for previously that he has given you? What have you asked for? What have you sought him for? What have you believed for that you now have in your life that is a part of your present reality? And what are you believing for now going forward? Can you look back at whatever that was and that be the symbol of hope for you of what is still to come? Hopefully so. And if not, hopefully some aspects of what I have shared can be a symbol of hope for you, to be an inspiration to you and wherever you are in life or whatever it is that you are believing for, that you can look to other people and have their testimonies be the hope that you need, the encouragement that you need. And for anybody else who is listening to this, who can relate to my story in some way, you've believed God for something and he showed up for you. If you can put it in the comments, so that way you can be also another symbol of hope to somebody else who is on the other end of this, who may not feel that inspiration, who may not feel like they have been in a situation where they have been looked out for in that way, or their dreams or hopes and prayers been materialized, that you can share something in the comments to really encourage them as well. Thank you for tuning in. See you soon.